Hi, everybody. Welcome to the As You Are podcast. My name is Leslie Vandergenst, and I am the founder of Ensō Coaching and Consulting. And
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, you are. And here we are with the group.
Woo!
Group Adam,
in.
Libby, Kathleen. That was confusing.
Leslie.
I don't know why I did that.
I know she's looking
I
not
know.
at us as she says our
She
names.
doesn't know who we are.
Adam, Libby,
Yeah.
Kathleen. Oh, damn it. I got it right. Anyway.
It's been a good day.
It's just we're on the up and up. But today, to continue on with our going in depth with our lovely team members, we're going to talk about Libby.
Ooh,
Yes.
from letter L to Y.
Yeah.
L to Y.
That's why.
I mean, the same number of letters, though. That's 13 letters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You knew that? That is
Wow.
impressive.
Well,
Wow.
I just know the M is in the middle, and then C is the end, and A is the beginning. So,
Good math.
yeah.
Anyways,
You are
math
good at
day.
math.
Thanks.
I'm
We're not talking about
I'll
me.
go ahead and
Yes,
say that
yeah.
up front. There,
Yeah.
that's what
What
we're going
is
to learn
that?
from this story.
Yes.
Libby's not great at math.
But what is she
The
great
end.
at?
Thank you guys.
What is she?
That was it.
Yeah, no.
Thank you
but
for
it's-
joining.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with L.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Let's start with A. That's what we did with Adam. Where we kind of start from the beginning and like what's the A? Where'd you come from, Libby?
Where did I come from?
What is you? What is you?
What is I? I grew up in Midland, Texas, in a
Big town.
big town dreams. Small little town in West Texas, but I think we talked about Friday Night Lights in the last session, and yes, big football town, big oil town. Not a lot going on there, but I grew up and to a single parent. My mom, she was a nurse, and so very early on, I watched her, kind of bust her butt to make things happen for my brother and I. And
Shout out to Tracy D's.
shout out Tracy D's. She does listen.
She does
so-
listen.
She is,
We love you, Tracy.
She's so happy.
yeah, she is. She'll be so happy. And luckily, one of the things that Midland has going for it is they have an amazing community theater that I found very early in my life and was lucky to find that because I, like Adam, sports wasn't it. Academics was not really it either. I went to school, kind of, didn't really, I made good grades, but I didn't really care about being at school. I really found my community at the theater, and I did a lot of shows there. That's where all of my best friends were, and that's just kind of the first love that I had. And really, that was the one place where I felt like I could be myself and express all the things that I felt and just show up and be authentic.
What was it about theater?
Well, I think I'm weird. I think it was a place where I enjoyed the singing and, the acting, that aspect of it. That was all something that I really enjoyed. But I think being around like-minded people, it was a very open place. That was something also that I was searching for, people that were open. And Midland, Texas, maybe some people are, but I would say that maybe it's not the most open-minded place to grow up in. It's very conservative values. And I think the theater community just kind of gave me a place where everyone fit in, and it felt good to be a part of that, and also to, be creative. I think tapping into that creativity was huge because, like I said, school was not something I was necessarily passionate about. I went because you have to, but it wasn't ever a place where I didn't have a lot of passion for it. So I think that it was a place where I could create, fulfill a passion of mine, and also just be around an open, like-minded community.
Yeah.
What kind of place I'm always interested in community theaters. Like, what kind of place did the community theater hold in Midland?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will say that is actually Midland was interesting because it is a place where people love going to the theater. And I think that was my biggest change kind of actually coming to Austin is I grew up with this, they have a beautiful theater. It's huge. It has like state-of-the-art everything. Everything is lovely. Midland has a lot of like the older community there very much still you go and you take a show. Like you go to the theater, you dress up and you go to the theater. I was always brought up to dress up and go to the theater. So
Still do.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to a show
Look
with
at
me.
those pants.
Yes, mermaid.
Go to a show with me and I'm like, who are these people eating snacks? That's so disrespectful. But it was something that truth. But I was brought up going to the theater there. I think it's well received there. I would say the side of it is it's harder there to push the envelope, right? For the community there, theater is very much like they want it
Clean.
They want to
This
see
is what
nice,
theater
clean. We
is.
want Singing in the Rain.
Oklahoma.
We want Cinderella, Oklahoma. Like, man, maybe not
I was
Oklahoma.
going to say Oklahoma.
Probably not Oklahoma.
No, we're talking about
We want
killing
like
yourself.
we want these very nice. And I think from what I've seen now, since I've been away, they do tend to push the boundary a little bit more. But I mean, it was
Still tight.
yeah,
Very tight.
yeah, and people would get really fired up when you would push the envelope.
So I can imagine. So you mentioned Friday Night Lights because wasn't Friday Night Lights like supposed? I mean, it was filmed in Austin, but it's supposed to be in Midland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Parts of it were filmed there though, because
Parts of it were filmed.
mhm.
Okay. So Friday Night Lights world is
Yeah.
if you're not
Football or a cheerleader.
football or cheerleader or
band.
a roper or probably not even band.
No, band.
Oh,
we
like
didn't
band.
work.
What's a
Yeah.
roper?
Like a cowboy.
Oh,
Yeah, like a guy who wore
clearly
a
I've
truck.
watched this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just think small town Texas, like
Yes, yeah.
if you were like a maybe FFA or like drove a truck or
Oh,
like
I
that
see.
was kind of the other area
Yeah.
that it would be hard. And that wasn't like something you were passionate about or not necessarily part of who you were. It might be harder to find a place to like,
Fit.
and to
Yes.
be supportive. So,
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I ever felt in a school setting, like I didn't necessarily fit in. I feel like I was there. I went to class. I did all my stuff, but it was never a place where I felt a huge sense of community. I never, things like homecoming and all are such huge, like, get the mom that's like as big as your head. I didn't go to any of them,
yeah.
which is like, and I think a little bit of it, I pushed against it because I was like, I don't like to conform. But I also think that was a big piece of I wasn't going to do that, but I needed to. I think I developed personality also because I didn't have that to fall back on is something that was easy. If I wanted to make friends, if I wanted to find friends or I wanted to stand apart, then I had to try extra hard to find where that was going to be. And so I do think that is a place where I found humor and I found, the ability to kind of get up in front of people and just be okay with not fitting in.
Okay, so then you mentioned your mom. It was a single mom raising you and your brother. What are things that you learned, about that and about her?
Yeah, I will say that it was number one, she's super strong. And the things that my brother and we were always able to do all of the things that we wanted to do. And I actually just had a conversation with her, the other day now, just as I'm raising my own kids. But my mom sacrificed a lot to make sure that we were able to, my brother was big in band, making sure that he was able to go to all the competitions, do all the stuff, have the uniforms. I was in theater and choir, making sure that I could, take all those classes, take voice lessons. And so I think there was a lot of sacrifice that went in, especially, she's a nurse and she changed from, doing school nursing so she could have the same schedule as and take care of us and do that. But I know that there were a lot of things that we certainly could not, afford to do, that she made it happen just because she wanted us to have the things that we were passionate about. She wanted us to be able to pursue to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. And what'd you take with you from all of that?
Well, I will say that in my life, I think that the feeling passionate about things, working hard, that is definitely something. I think the hardworking and just kind of doing what you need to do to get through something, even if it's hard, that is something that in my work life, in my personal life, I always try to try to implement. And then I think with my own children as well, anything that they're passionate about and want to do, I want to help them do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, my mom also my grandparents were around too. And they were a big support system as well. So it's not necessarily that she did it all alone, because they were there to support and help. And I think that is something that I have also learned, even though it's hard, is asking for help and allowing your community to support you as well. So those are huge takeaways that and a lot of times I think about, I'm like, oh my God, how did you do that with, not as much my brother, because he was great. I was like, not. I was a big personality. I had a lot going on. But I mean, I think about that all the time. It's just, how do you manage 2 kids on your own that have big ideas, big dreams, and make it work?
Yeah.
And we made it to the other side. So
yeah. It makes me want to be like, how do you do it with yourself now then? Right? Like, we were just in that headspace of thinking of your mom. Like, how do you, as a parent, manage 2 kids, big dreams? But like, you, Libby, how do you manage your own dreams now?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. We'll talk dreams. So with the theater background, growing up doing theater, that was my number one thing, as I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway. That was it. And which is, I will say, there's something that I love about young Libby that was just so like headstrong without I didn't know anything about I didn't have anyone coaching me. I didn't have anyone telling me like, here's things that you should do if you want to do this career. I was just like, I'm going to go audition for Boston Conservatory. Like, and just go to these big auditions. And I had my heart set on that's what I wanted to do. So knew that I wanted to pursue musical theater, went to school for that, did that. And I think, somewhere along the way, I became a little disenchanted with, I was like, I don't know that I want to move to New York and pound the pavement and audition and have a side gig and do all of that. And after I kind of thought about that, and decided that I didn't want to move, then what sank in was, well, I failed. I failed. I went to school for this. This is what there was never anything else in my mind of what I wanted to do. That was it. And I was like, oh, this was a big failure and I'm not doing it. And this was just kind of a waste is what it felt like. Right.
Yeah.
And I think through that, I learned, and one of the things that I love you, Adam, for, because I think that you do such a good job of bringing this into people's minds, is, especially in the creative world, is there's not just like one way. And, when you have these big like dreams of this is what it's going to be, and that it ends up being something else, how to cope with that, or how to see that you are doing it, maybe just not in the way that you've
100%,
thought, right? And so back to dreams, I think now I'm very much in a place where I have actually, fulfilled my dreams, and I am doing what I always wanted to do. I'm, working alongside people that I love, doing a job that I'm really passionate about. And I am still performing, and I do still have that piece in my life. And I have, an amazing husband and 2 awesome kids that, I am raising them to, hopefully do all the things that they want to do as well. But I think that has been one of the biggest lessons in my life. It's just sometimes the things you set out to do, it doesn't look the way you think it's going to look. And again, I know back to it's not always linear, and it's not, defining success, things that I ask my clients now to do all the time that I, had never done for myself. Success for me, Broadway.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And there's a lot in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think what you said is so true. There's just not one way. And I know for me, so many of the artists who I know who are, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but who are most happily engaged and most fulfilled with the art in which they are engaged are the people who are not necessarily making their primary income off of that.
Right.
I mean, you can and be very happy too, but that is not a necessary correlation.
Right. Well, and it's also it's 2 things. Like, number one, it sounds like unpackaging what Broadway means versus what you do with it, and like what you get out of the art versus like this thing that's going to be some high echelon of success, right?
Yeah. And I think, I also very much so had a big, as someone from a small town where I was doing the thing at a high level there, you have recognition. And I had a lot of that on myself of other people are counting on me to succeed. They're looking to me. Here I am. Like, I've said that I'm this, performer. I've had all these opportunities. And if I fail, they're all going to be like, well.
It's a lot of pressure to put on
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a young
17-year-old girl.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think of that in the Heights, the opening of In the Heights, they are counting on me to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
yes. I mean,
that's a real thing.
It is real.
Absolutely.
Well, and when you're a strong-willed individual, especially, I'm not saying that Libby is.
There's something I learned from my mom.
Well, when you're a strong-willed person and you say, I'm going to go do blah, then it is hard
and
to
you
kind
put
of go back and
out
say,
there.
Oh, 100%. And we, and as a 17-year-old girl, like you haven't had the woman, you haven't had the opportunity to say, what for?
Why?
Like
100%.
Right? And what a like great learning for you to like know that and be able to gift that to your children.
Oh my God.
Right?
Totally.
Yes. I think that is one of the biggest things are, the things that you learned and the things that you, is so much more awareness around. I mean, my mom was always very supportive of, you want to do this? Like, let's go. Like, okay, I'm gonna book the tickets. We're going to go to audition here. We're going to do that. And she was always very selfless. But again, she didn't know anything about, I was the first person that had any, I did not come from artistic anything. So it was just me being like, here's what I read you're supposed to do. So
right. And they didn't have Google back then. You went to the Encyclopedia Britannica.
No. I literally had this book and I remember it. It was like musical theater, or theater programs or whatever. And it would rate them and it would talk about them and like what was special about them when they did their auditions. And I read it like the Bible. I would sit there and be like, oh my God, yeah. I could see myself there. And I just picked based on what? Nothing. Based on,
I had the sound.
Yeah. I was like, this sounds nice.
Yeah.
And my mom knew nothing. So she was like, yeah, we'll go to all those. Well, sure.
Right.
And, I think that it's knowing now, like, being able to stop and, yes, help my kids with what are the things that you want to achieve. And absolutely, I'll be behind you. But why is that important to you?
Yeah. Right.
Why is
100%.
it? Why is that the one? Or why is that the thing that
Yeah. Well, and there's also something to be said for going through the process of like, I'm going to make this statement oh, it didn't turn out exactly the
And
way
then
that
what
I
you-
wanted to. Oh, how do I reimagine like what success looks like for me? You know, like there's something about that process also,
Yeah,
you know, that was like a
absolutely.
gift.
Well, yeah,
Little
that
did you
is
know.
something we lost with AI and Google or whatever you want to say is just information capital. You can make decisions in such a more informed way, which is positive.
Yeah.
But there is really something to that, like, quote, ignorance is bliss thing, because what do you learn by not knowing?
Yeah.
And you go and you're like, oh my gosh, like, and then that story that you have is different than anybody who was like, I can quote any stat on Boko, I can quote any stat on CCM,
No.
you know.
Yeah.
I went in, I mean, I think like part of me, it's like very endearing and cute because can't imagine what they were like. What? Look, like she really doesn't know. I had no clue. And I was just there to have a good time and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
no clue.
But also, sorry, Dayenu there to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
enough.
I mean,
to be there to have a good time.
I did have a good time.
Yeah.
But also.
Okay, so redefining what success looked like, you were able to see, okay, performance can exist, but not necessarily in the way that I had envisioned my entire life.
Yeah.
And then you've moved into a place of biz.
Yeah.
The biz.
Yeah. That was a journey.
Yeah, talk about that.
Okay. So finished college, was like, I'm not going to go to Broadway. But I'm going to get it. I have to get a job in something artistic to feel like I'm doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm going to be a music teacher. And I did. And then I was like, this is not it. And it was little kids. I taught for like really young children.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See,
there
I
it is.
love this learning
from each other.
There's your nugget. But I taught and I learned that that's not what I wanted to do. And then I took some just kind of survival jobs. And then my path crossed with a lady named Leslie Vandergast.
Oh, as they do.
Hollingsworth at the time.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah.
And at the time, she was working for Keller Williams, and they were hiring a front desk person. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, because really what I was looking for was a solid job so then I could perform.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care what it was. And then I was like, you're going to give me benefits? Cool.
As does everyone who's had that.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the job.
Good job.
So I took
Yeah.
it. I took it really with no I had front desk experience from another place, but I was like, this will be fine. I'll perform. This will be great. So I took that job.
And also, there's something about real estate agents and actors.
Yeah,
Like, there's like
that's true.
real estate agents.
I feel
just
like that's
love-
pretty easy.
Yes.
Oh
See
yeah,
the overlap
100%.
there.
Sure.
So Libby's like, "Good morning," and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, we like you.
You know, it's like it's
Good
a
personality.
yeah.
She's got a happy phone voice.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a match made in heaven. So I did that for a while. Again, never really. I don't know that I ever was thinking I'm going to be here long term, anything like that. And then, as the things happened, I think one of the things that you were really great at is in that time, you gave, oh God.
We're talking about Leslie right now. One of the things Leslie's really great at.
Is you gave me a lot of freedom to explore things that I might be interested in. Again,
because she was talented. Duh.
Both can be true. You can be a good leader and she can be talented.
Yes,
right.
yes. And so that was great because I had a really nice place to kind of play and not be scared of failure and get my little business feet wet and see what it was like in old corporate America. And along that journey, I remember talking to someone about recruiting and someone being like, no one ever starts off in their life being like, I want to be a recruiter, which I still say, yes, very much true. But I got to start playing around with that a little bit and doing a couple things here and there, helping to like some recommendations on hiring, or here's, who I think, based on how they interacted in the office, I think that they would be really great. I prefer them over this person. Started there and then more opportunity kind of came along, and then eventually got a position as a recruiting coordinator. And that's really the first time that I, had done recruiting, and, kind of was working for Leslie and started off that way, kind of the one in the department, and then worked my way up and then managed the team, after a couple years, and really fell in love with it, and really enjoyed my time. I mean, it was something that I was very grateful for, the way that I was able to kind of figure out what I liked. And one of the things that I am so passionate about, I think because it's so personal to my journey, is helping people see that just because you don't have a degree in a certain thing, or just because you haven't done the thing, doesn't mean you can't do it. And what are some of the, especially, I mean, I have so many clients. There are people I talk to all the time in the arts community that, what are things that you've done that are similar? Or how can you, or transferable skills, and how can you tap into those to make people see that you can do this job? And I feel like I've done that my whole career, find those things and really lean into them. And so I worked my way up to, then leading the entire recruiting function for a big company, and did that for a while, and really loved my team and loved that, and then decided to move on, and then moved to a smaller startup. And that was its own, challenge. I think that was the first time just kind of building something from truly nothing. And then moved on again and made an awful decision in where I moved on to, and learned a lot from that decision. And then joined Ensō. Do you want me to talk more about my bad mistake?
Yeah, I definitely want to hear, like what, I mean, you don't have to dwell on the bad, but like, or what do.
Name.
Or like, what'd you learn? Yeah.
Exactly. Again, things that I think I've really taken into the work that I do with my clients, and because I've experienced it firsthand. And again, I'm someone that I've spent a majority of my career interviewing people and wooing people to join companies, and talking about, opportunity and experience, and which is great. But I also realize that those opportunities and experiences are not always what they are presented as. So I will say that is one of the big takeaways, is poking holes in that, poking holes in that opportunity, and asking more questions. I think it was a point where I was very much, I was lucky in the fact that I really had only had experience with amazing leaders. And so I think I just assumed very naively that, most leaders were really great and amazing. Spoiler.
Not
they are not. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I learned a lot about the types of people I don't want to work for. And I think that was a thing that I had a big awakening of, I'm working for someone that is constantly asking for more, shutting things down, belittling employees, talking badly about employees, like on leadership meetings. And I remember having a moment being like, if this is happening here, where else is it happening?
Yeah.
Because if he is feeling comfortable enough to talk
for sure.
horribly about these people that are his top performers, like, what is he saying about me? What is he saying about other people? And it was just this very toxic environment of give more, give more, give more. And I thought, I am giving so much. I'm sacrificing my family life. I'm missing things that I want to be present for. I constantly feel like I'm walking around on eggshells trying to, still keep things going in my life outside, take people to appointments, go to school shows, things like that. and even though I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, I'm achieving all the goals, I still feel like I'm being scrutinized for everything that I do. And I'm working really hard for what?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and how are you feeling on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I constantly on edge, never knowing, oh God, like seeing a Slack message and just always that like drop of your stomach being like, oh God, what is it now?
Yeah.
Or your phone rings and you're like, yeah. But terrified not to pick up, because if you don't pick up, then that means you're not working.
Right.
And I think for me, that was also a big awakening in, we had talked about as you were forming Ensō, I knew that it was something that had definitely, perked my ears up, but I really was not in a place. I was like, I need to just stability and do this. And I think that was for me just a breaking point where I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I would rather have some instability and build things on my own terms and work on my own terms and maybe, sacrifice, whatever I need to, rather than, coming to work every day being, afraid and feeling just that doom.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so for me, that was the biggest just kind of awakening of like, okay, I would rather, and my husband and I had a conversation of I gotta get out of this.
Yeah. I mean, you're working in an environment where that's like instilling fear in you, right? And there's like no amount. I mean, you were being paid very, very well, if I recall, at that company, and so like no amount of money can cause regulation, right? Like emotional regulation, and like there's that much fear that's being...
And I'm a big person on and this is one of the things that I always drill with my clients is, if flexibility is important to you, what does that mean to the company that you're...
Exactly. Define that.
Define that, because that is one of the biggest things that for me with this particular company is I was promised lots of flexibility. And then when it came time to actually flex the flexibility, it was like...
JK, not really flexible.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so that was a big lesson for me. And that is something that I constantly think about. Me as someone who I ask these questions, I used to ask these questions to people every single day. If I can be like, and I don't know that it's fooled, but if I can be someone that doesn't ask the right questions, being in this industry, what's going to happen to other people who don't interview all the time and they, it's maybe it's not anything that they think about. And so that was for me is something I'm very passionate about when my clients are interviewing, is making sure that at the end of the day, when they get an offer letter, that they feel like they know everything.
It's clear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, you're just so fantastic, Libby.
What?
Everything. I just am really struck by how many times in your life, in all these different contexts, that element of what do I really want? What is the why behind it? And knowing when to make that adjustment.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the same way that it's like, oh, I think I want to go to Broadway, but maybe not actually for me.
Yeah.
And here's why. Or like, I know this is an industry I like, but in this context, not for me.
Yeah.
And here's why. And I think that takes a lot of courage to like do that inward reflection and then to also take action on it, because it is so miserable and painful, but easy to be stuck someplace you don't want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
hey, thanks.
Yes.
Well, I've just done it all so gracefully.
Well, you have. I mean, like,
no, really.
No, but like,
you
for
have.
as much as you're doing it in a silly voice,
Wow.
you really have. You really have.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
As much as you've done it in a silly voice.
Well, just right now that you're like,
It's my real voice.
I know. No. Surprise. No.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about the things that you reflect on with your own mom as having been influential for you. What would you hope that your daughters
Oh, I love this question.
would look to you and say, you know,
I was like, that would be
There
weepy.
she goes.
Yeah.
in 20 years from now or whatever, that they would say in this moment?
I think more than anything, I want them to always feel supported in whatever way that I want to support them in anything that they do. So, and I want to, whether that's career, whether that's relationships, but support with an and of if anything looks questionable, I want to know the why. And it might not the why might not make sense to me, and that's okay. But if we're making strange career choices, strange relationship choices, I support you, and I want to hear from you why this is the best choice, or why this is where you're choosing, why this is the person that you're giving your attention to. I mean, even small things now, I think with just kids growing up in their relationships and things like that, is just pausing to ask, why is that important to you? Mm-hmm. Why is that person's approval important to you? So I think support. I do think confidence is something that I really want to instill in them, and I want them to, but also to have a space where they feel like they can make mistakes and be safe and accepted. I think that I want them to be confident, but I think that also comes from being able to, screw up and not have everyone be like, oh,
what's wrong?
Why did you do that? Mm-hmm. And I do think there, for me, there was always, of the pressure I put on myself, I do think that there, and pressure that I still put on myself, but I do think that there's that element of not wanting to screw up and not wanting to look like you don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That would be great if they did not have, if they felt free to just make mistakes and, come as they are. I think those are the biggest things that I really, I think besides, whatever else they decide to do and get into, I think that those are just two things that and another thing I will say, growing up in Midland, Texas, my mother was always we are accepting of all humans. Yeah. And that is something that not a lot of people that grow up in Midland get. And that is also something that I have so many friends that grew up and, their parents are very much not that way. Yeah. And I really lucked out with having a mom that was very open with, you love who you love. All people are welcome here. That's it. Yeah. End of story. Mm-hmm. And that is something, and above all, be kind. Mm-hmm. That is something that I am always very open with my kids about. And kindness goes a long way. You can be talented. You can be smart. At the end of the day, if you are not kind to other people, it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. What's the point? Mm-hmm. And so I think that is something that I'm also really, I really hope that they, to instill in them, that they just grow up being loving and kind and accepting.
Well, they're real sweet.
They are real sweet.
They are.
Sweet.
They are very sweet.
And you're leading by example.
Yeah.
Mm.
We should have the big girls on.
Oh my God.
The podcast.
Yeah. That'd be
imagine?
amazing.
But you guys can't be there to interview them. It's got to be Adam and me.
That's right.
Oh my God. That is a dream. Yes.
Be hilarious.
All right. Well, here we go.
Can't wait to hear the things that they will say.
Okay. So what, if you could pinpoint one or two things that you're working on yourself right now, what are those one or two things?
One or two things that I'm working on. I mean, I think always for me, the need of perfectionism and the need to not let people down or disappoint people. I think that's always that's a forever one. And I will say that I think I have come a long way with it. Also, becoming a mom really knocks that perfectionism out of you. But I think that has been something that has been so great and life-changing for me. Just the things that used to feel really important, especially in the context of me for in the artistic world, things that used to feel huge. Now I'm just like, my voice cracked.
Yeah.
cool.
What are you
I don't
gonna
have
do?
time for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other important things going on, and there's so many, so I think that is something that I will forever work on. And what else? What else am I working on? Growing my business.
Yeah, let's go.
Always. Yeah. I mean, I think that's been a huge change too, is I have been in corporate America for a million years, and it's different. I love it. It's different. And I think that it requires a whole different set of skills and discipline. And so I think that has been a huge learning curve too, that I'm leaning into and figuring out, okay, what does it mean to not have anyone saying, this is when you show up, this is what you do, this is how you're gonna get from point A to point B, right? And saying, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to get from point A to point B, and and just kind of, I mean, we're a fantastic team and we work together, but I do think that there is this, there's this piece of the entrepreneurial side that is, unlearning all of the
Yeah.
the
unlearning,
the corporate stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So that's it.
Why?
That's what I'm working on.
I know. Okay, well, what's next, Libby? What does the next 5 years look like?
Oh my gosh. The next 5 years. I always think about years now in terms of how old my children will be.
That's cool. Yeah.
Makes sense. You have teenagers.
Yikes. I would say one of the pieces that with this work that that we've kind of tapped into, that I think we're all really passionate about, is kind of on the side of nonprofits, and that is a space that I've really enjoyed finding. I love all my clients, and of course I want to grow that, but I think that it's kind of a cool niche that we have found, and I would hope that in 5 years we would have more nonprofits that we partner with. Especially I am very passionate about women in the workforce, and just kind of the mental load that it takes to be a full-time working mom, and it's not something that is ever going to get easier. I think it only becomes more demanding. And that is a community that I'm really passionate about serving and helping. And so more of that.
Yeah.
And more women doing awesome, badass things. And
true.
Yeah.
The expectations have changed. We were just talking about Valentine's Day, and it used to be you
what a riot.
got a piece of paper and you stuck it in a paper bag. Now they're like, bring a shoebox so we can decorate it.
I remember shoebox. Hold on a second.
No.
No.
It's
These
not
are like
just
the
a
fancy
no,
shoeboxes.
Okay,
Right now. They have
I remember decorating a
actual
shoebox.
boxes at Target that
No.
you can buy, and then
Just
send them to
boxes?
school, and then they decorate them.
And then they fill them with, you can't just send a card. You got to have cute erasers
trinket.
or a trinket.
Yeah.
Or some places let you have treats. Other ones, it's no treats.
And then they have a Valentine's Day party. And then you have to bring the things for the Valentine's Day party. You got to remember all of this stuff on top of all the things.
So many things.
Yeah, that's just Valentine's Day.
That's just Valentine's Day, y'all.
That's like a casual holiday.
Yeah.
And so to your point, Libby, I mean, it's it's the mental load and the expectation and being a woman and trying to fit your way into the world of, that has just recently really accepted women into the workplace. Let's be honest. I mean, it's several decades, but still it's relatively fresh.
And not feeling the guilt of, I need to leave because I need to go to the Valentine's party, or I need to go to the school program. Yeah. And maybe your male coworker isn't leaving to go to that, or
because his wife is.
Right.
Yeah. Who is also probably working.
Sure.
And he's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's great at babysitting.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God.
Right.
Well,
and again, it's just, we're in this, I mean, I think we were talking about this last time. We're in this evolutionary process right now where women have just kind of moved in the last 5 decades from, I stayed at home and that was my job, 100% my job, and it was 100% acceptable, and whatever, whether women chose it or not. It was just what was. And now we're in this place of, women are expected to work. We have to monetarily, from a financial standpoint, but also they want to, they choose to.
Right.
But the but the load doesn't change. And in fact, it's gotten more intense because of the things that are expected of parents nowadays. You know? I do love Bad Moms. Like one of my favorite things to do on Christmas Day evening is watch Bad Moms Christmas, mostly because it's, you know, a reflection of what mamas have to go through, you know?
I mean, yes, it is definitely the expectations are high. And I will say, to give some love to the guys, that there definitely has been a shift. I would say as women shift too, there is a shift. I would say it's not moving as swiftly maybe as it should, but there is a shift in
100%.
the way that dads participate in their kids' lives. And I do see dads at, you know, things like, you know, PTA things and
participating
all the
for
time.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, not to
celebrate
strike down
and
the man.
also still have expectations.
100%.
Totally.
100%.
Like, glad you're there. Keep coming.
Yeah, keep it up.
Exactly.
Keep
exactly.
it up. But also, can we do less Valentine's Day and less Easter? Sincerely, a mother that does not.
It's a lot.
And maybe more Libby birthday.
Yeah.
Less Valentine's, less Easter, more Libby birthday.
Where's that?
I'll never, hey, you know me, I'm a Leo. I'll never say less birthday. I won't. I'll always say more birthday.
Yeah.
I love it.
Celebrate.
You're awesome, Libs.
You are.
Thanks.
What is one of the best ways that we can celebrate you?
Oh my God. Actually don't. No, I like being celebrated just by being around. Like, I mean, for me, it's just being with like-minded, fun people.
I'll leave.
If you're also, if you're witty and funny, it doesn't hurt.
Well,
It's
definitely
true.
Uh-huh.
Also, if you want to give her presents, she likes those.
I do.
Oh,
Now
we're talking.
Fine. My love language is gifts.
And by gifts, we
Listeners.
mean more clients.
Yes. Well, you know
So I can buy myself gifts.
That's right.
Because I'm really the only one that knows what I actually like.
Yeah, just get her
Sip.
clients. There you go. That's how we celebrate Libby.
Get
So
her
come
some
on.
clients.
Yeah. Come be
Wow.
my client.
I know what I'm getting you.
Help me buy things that I don't. Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
And I love you.
I love
Love
you.
you,
I love you.
Libby.
I love you.
We
And
love
you,
you,
and
boo boo.
you.
You're amazing.
No, you're amazing. I mean,
And doing such good work.
Yes.
Like, I think that's the other
Yeah.
thing
Yes,
to be said
doing
is
such good work, and like, I have such multiple feelings about tenacity in terms of like, you know, it's a good thing, but also it can get to a toxic place. And
Mhm.
I think, as an outsider, I've seen all the ways in which you're tenacious, and yet as an outsider, it seems like you are healthy about it.
oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
very true. Very true.
I agree
Healthy
with that.
tenacity.
Healthy tenacity.
Healthy tenacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grit not going wrong.
Grit
No.
not going wrong.
Grit
That's
gone
right.
right.
Yeah.
Grit gone right.
Great gone right.
There you go.
Yes. Stitch and
That's
grind.
it. That's
Cheat
it.
and grind.
That's it. That's it.
That's my book. Grit gone right.
That's right.
That sounds like
I
a
love it.
very
We've
West
been
Texas
crying.
book. Grit gone right. There
Great
it
gone
is.
right.
You're welcome.
Grit gone right.
There it is.
There she is. Our little Midland, Texas
I
star.
can tap back
Yeah,
into it if
we
I really
can.
try.
She needed
They
you.
had to beat it out of me. I think I took a lot of voice and diction.
There
So
you go. Oh,
Forgot.
Speaking out
Uh-huh.
of love language.
yeah, I know.
Uh-huh.
It took
You know
some. Took some. Get out of there.
Pop,
But
pop.
mhm.
Well, we love you.
We love
Yes.
you.
I love you guys.
If you need career coaching,
Yeah.
see this
Yes.
boo.
Libby.
Come
Give
on
her the
over.
greatest gift,
That's
which is a
right.
gift to you
Yeah.
as
That's
Right.
well.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right.
Help me
Win,
gift you to
win.
gift me.
Win,
That's
win.
right.
Win,
Win,
win, win. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We love you mucho.
Yay.
And please subscribe to the As You Are podcast
Yes.
on all major platforms. And we will see you again soon. Bye.
Bye. Hasta.